Hello and welcome, my friends, back in the new year. Hope you had a good holiday season, spent your time with your families and all that good shit. And obviously also hope you arrived in the new season with a good start. Hopefully your placements went all right. Now, before pro play starts, obviously this is what this channel is mostly about. And before we can see T1 school some kids again, let's take a look at the new changes. I'm going to look at all the things that Riot put into the game, and we're going to start with hopefully something that interests you. We're going to take a look at the map changes. I mean, everyone has eyes, but we're going to talk about some things that change, and then obviously how one needs to adapt to that, and how this might impact the meta, right? Which side, blue side, red side, which one got buffed or nerfed in this case. And again, what could that mean for pro play? Obviously, solo queue is, that is the Wild West. Everything can happen there. We'll have to see. And yeah, let's get into it. We're going to start with top side. Obviously, this is what the new top side looks like. Just a quick reminder, this is how it looked before. Obviously, the old familiar river, big mountain terrain block for the blue side, makes it way more safe for them. And then the red side, obviously, you have to deal with this pesky entrance here into your lane, where there's a chance that you could have gotten ganked from here. Also, obviously, way easier dive setup in case you kind of lose control over your top side, or you are overextended or something like that. Now, let's take a look at what we've had here. And obviously, now we can easily see, we get the pen. The entrance to the river is way wider now. If we take a look, this is roughly the center of the map. This is still favored for the blue side, right? If you look, this is the river entrance. It is still slightly more leaning to the blue side, right? So if you're at any neutral point, the way into the shadow of the terrain, right, where it's like easier to hide from like direct gank paths, if the jungler is just running at you or even dashing, right? Can't really dash through this terrain, and obviously like you're getting closer to your turret range from a neutral lane state. So blue side still slightly safer, but overall, I mean, it is a big help for the red side due to the setup of this, right? You get one ward in here, which yes, it covers all of this in case you have not played and tested it yet. One ward in here just secures vision for the entire river entrance here. So this is highly contested, and I mean, depends on who can protect their control ward or vision setup here. Highly beneficial for them. But again, the red side is still a bit more exposed. Again, as I mentioned, the neutral lane state or the neutral position of the lane is still slightly favored for blue side, but red side, I mean, at least they are a bit more safer with this covering like their back, right? You're not getting ganked through your turret, right? Here in this case, blue side got a slight nerf, right? The terrain usually was a bit more forward like this. Obviously, this little edge, it feels like it got chopped away. Can take another look if you want. Here you can see, if we take another look at the jungle entrance, neutral lane position. This doesn't have alcoves, I know, but it doesn't matter. Again, it's way safer for the blue side. This tiny like cap here got chopped off. As much as it's a small, it feels like a small nerf to blue side. Overall, red side hugely profits. They're just way safer. And overall, what does this mean? This means that immobile champions, scaling champions that like can easily be doven, like early game Kale or like a gangplank on weak side, shit like that, is way more practical to be played on red side. So yeah, in this case, it's a buff, it's a clear buff for red side top lane and a slight nerf for blue side, but not really worth mentioning. Again, key point is, can you control this vision here? Another interesting change here with this terrain change in this area here. Let's assume a jungle clear from bot to top on both sides, right? So you either do Gromp or you either do finish with blue, depending on what your like goal is. And then you move in for Croc unless you go for the reset. Well, depending on jungle clear and champion etc, right? So you do your stuff and then you go for Crab, right? Nothing has changed with that really. We're talking about this new jungle pathway here in a few minutes, so don't worry. But yeah, you still go to here. Nothing to wonder about. But let's take a look at how it looks like on the other side. So you do your Crux, right? And then you path oh. And then you path towards Crux. But if there's a ward here, which is very likely to happen, especially around the time you would expect the enemy jungler to be top, right? To like protect yourself from the gank. This ward will spot the enemy jungler if they path from Crux straight up to Crab, unless they will move all the way around again or like use double dashes over this way. So while this doesn't really impact top lane per se, it just means that like a red clear is a bit more annoying in your pathing, right? It's way more worthwhile to like reset after a Crux and then like play for bot Crab or something like that, instead of like taking the risk of being exposed here, which I mean in some cases like showing on the map is not that bad, but in general obviously junglers should avoid like needlessly showing on wards, right? Interesting things to note at after I've played a couple of games with this. Obviously, because this one ward here, if you have it, protects you or like means that you can see the enemies like from far away, meaning that junglers with like no gap closers or stuff like that have a harder time, right? If they have to walk all this way, even if they are like trying to like cut you off, it feels like a bit like you really have to be way overextended like to be in any like relevant danger there. But I've felt champions with high movement speed who can blitz from here into here or something like that are way more effective or like have a better time due to, again, the fact you get spotted earlier, but if the enemy jungler has no ability to like get to you fast or have like a guaranteed long range CC tool, which like what is that? So I feel like champions, especially like in solo queue, champions like Echo Jungle, who's decently fast and has his E as a gap closer, Warwick, like especially if you're low, he runs at you with 700 movement speed. Doesn't matter that you spot him here, like he will be there no matter what. So this is like some observations that I still need to study a bit more, but maybe it's helpful for you guys. Now we're taking a look at mid lane, and Jesus, man, I mean top lane, oh my god, that looked like a big ass lane now, with the river being so open, right, and terrain being like chopped away. Look at this fucking mess. So big, so big. Yeah, but what does this mean? First of all, the map changes are obviously these corridors being like shifted around, this walls being like cut in half, and then obviously the river, the entrance brush to the river being like moved backwards. And it also is, it feels longer inside, honestly, because this wall was moved a bit. So what does this mean? Obviously lane is more open, which again means more open means that you can also see more, that your vision is not blocked by terrain and like stuff like that. If you have a ward in this brush, it covers the entire brush in case you don't know that stuff, and you also have vision towards this. So the thing is, like, if you're standing in lane, like, take a look at how much safer you are now, right? So you don't have your ward here, right? You used your trinket here, so obviously you're going to position a bit more to the like left side, top side here. But even then, if the jungler would come from here where you don't have vision, unless they're like really like hidden behind fog of sight here with these terrains that sometimes have like this shadow here, you're still going to see them relatively early. Obviously there's like dashing over this wall, sure, but then they've already used their dash, and that means they don't have their movement tool to get onto you. If you have a ward in here, you have just so much extra sight. And again, this is not a like gank path, this is a dive path only. Or like if the enemy is really ahead, really mobile or whatever. Like this is only in very specific situations will you get ganked through this. Because turret aggro goes here, and like if you're like standing somewhere here, they will get at least 1 or 2 turret shots. Which I mean, especially in the early laning phase, is just, not many champions can just comfortably do that. So mid lane, what does this mean? It means what you all expected anyways, that you are like so much safer. Meaning champions with low mobility, our lovely mages who obviously got all the new items are going to be like in such a better position because it's just harder to gank you. Obviously, again, it means you need to put your vision tool down to like really reap the benefits from that. And like contesting vision, it feels a bit harder, right? Because when the brush was here, actually we can go to the other map, right? Because back then, if you had your ward here, it was easier to defend it over this wall, right? Or like on this side, easily with your range abilities as a mage. In this example, you could easily defend your vision, right? With the new setup, like if you have your ward here, which, I mean, it's a bit of a interesting position, but okay, it doesn't matter. If you have your ward here, and they're clearing it, right? Because they have like threat over you or push over you or something like that. Like if you're already standing here to contest it, like it's easier for them to like jump onto you and like attack you freely. So like obviously here it's a bit better, but obviously here's your safety. And if you're like contesting the vision here, you're also not in the safest positions, right? So contesting the vision in these brushes might be a bit more difficult again, right? As I just described, but it means, it still means that, okay, you can't get your ward in here, just take the other side. Easier said than done, of course, but still, mages should profit highly from this. But our friends in the assassin department, assassins, also have some good news, right? Because of the way the map looked previously, it was easier to ward like jungle entrances and stuff like that. Nowadays, it feels like this might be a bit more harder because they are like further away, and there's also, for a mid laner, not much need to do it because, right, you have the safety. If you drop a ward there, you see so much, right? So why go the extra mile to do this? Unless obviously you think about it and like, you know, there's a assassin roaming and the threat of that. But nowadays with these pathways here, and again, we are going to talk about the jungle changes a bit, right? Assassins will have easier pathways to like stay hidden and roam. Obviously, again, with the jungle changes, we're going to talk about it. It's also faster. So with this, assassins can roam faster and often more hidden, right? Because it's right, here's your turret, so it's unlikely that these entrances to the jungle are being like kept warded and in vision, right? Obviously, the old ones here on both sides still exist, right? These are remained unchanged. And wards that were frequent in the past should still spot these fairly easily. But what this means is, again, because it's not on the same side, right? Because it's asymmetrical or whatever. It means for red side, assassins roaming towards bot lane, and we're going to talk about bot lane, of course, yes, is going to be much easier, which means, as bot lane is like always the best lane, strongest lane, most important lane in the game because it's two players that also scale super fucking well. Yeah, that means assassins on red side are like benefiting a lot more from this than assassins on blue side. But then you could also make the argument, especially for solo queue, where bot laners are always ooga booga and like top laners, especially in the past with their items, we'll have to see how it goes now, were like such a menace. That blue side impacting top lane is also obviously valuable, which is a more snowbally lane. So for solo queue, I think it is alright, right? We'll have to see how like the meta develops with top side items and like AD carry with the new, well, jungle and lane setup. But overall, I think for pro play, this is much better because even then, people roam with their mages or in higher elo, like they do that as well. So it just means you roam towards bot lane faster, bot lane being the most important role, you get it. So what does this mean? Again, short review, mages should be better and assassins or like roam heavy playsides on red side are buffed because better and easier entrance towards bot side. Overall vision wards here and here still good. Entrance warding on like these asymmetrical sides still beneficial. Warding here in this brush with pinks is something I would recommend for like a mid-game state. Obviously we can't see it here, but there's a similar brush. So that's that. Warding something like here, if you want to be like quick or something about it. Sadly not all that beneficial. First of all, there is, this terrain here is a bit iffy, right? Because there's like a spike, and like if you place your ward poorly, you will get like a big shadow of vision here. And the next thing is, this bush obviously is like a round or like a crescent moon thingy-majingy. So even if you have this warded and they enter through here, obviously they'll get spotted. But if they enter the brush, then they can just leave it and depending on where your ward is, you won't even see them leave the brush. So yeah, this ward spot, not really the best ward. Like maybe have your pink ward here again in mid game, and go around it like that. Now back to the next lane. Okay, now coming towards the bot lane, and again, now here we have some alcove gaming, and yeah, pretty easy. Nothing was changed here, that stays the same, but the ultra defensive big stony thing here was obviously cut in half, right? Obviously, look at the safety that the red side bot lane had, right? Again, we don't have alcoves, but lane neutral position should be somewhere here, meaning all the safe area, whereas for this, it's more like that, honestly. Also, obviously, this gank path, which means, yeah, overall, I mean, I'm not telling you anything new. Red side bot lane was ultra safe, because what is this? Like, this is not a gank path, this is a dive path, which obviously, like, that worked quite a while, but in comparison, diving, yeah, the blue side bot lane was a bit more of a hassle. And now, taking a look at this, obviously the terrain got changed. The entrance that was like somewhere around here got shifted towards here, which, well, again, we're talking about jungle in a bit, but yeah, obvious gank path now available. Turret range goes like roughly here, do you see, right? Let me clean it up. The turret range roughly goes like here or so. It's smaller than you actually think, right? There's enough space where you can just casually walk in, right? You don't even need to hug the wall or be ultra safe. No, you can really just casually walk into bot lane here from this corridor, unless you obviously hug the right side. It's like, yeah. And now with the brush change, right? Previously it was here, which, I mean, you can debate, was it favorable for blue side or red side? I mean, red side has like easier pathway and easier retreat path, but blue side could always ward over the wall, right? If you know the right spot, you can ward over it. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about like advantage from the bush here. It's like, okay. But yeah, if you have this brush warded, right? This is like more or less like your vision, roughly speaking, meaning you're still safe on red side, right? If the jungler goes from here to here, you have enough time to retreat, because you're going to spot them entering the tribe rush, unless they enter from somewhere else, right? Or have a high, like long, or have a big dash to like even go over the wall. So with that being the case, it's not like red side is now completely vulnerable, open, something like that, but they're way more easily attacked. Also, this wall goes like this, and then there's an opening and like this, if I'm not mistaken. So in terms of like getting Doven, it is decently similar, right? So overall, for the laning phase, I think red side is like in a decent spot, but this means that especially in pro play, diving like blue side was way easier than diving red side, or in higher elo where dives are also a bit more common. This means that it's more likely to get Doven, or it's easier for the enemy team to do it. Also, if you completely get like mid or jungle gapped, meaning your like jungle belongs to the enemy team, this is also a way more likely gank path, right? Or if like if it's something crazy like Talon jungle or something, right? Again, something that easily can go over this wall, avoid the detection of this ward, and then you get ganked from here. So again, as it looks like a big change, and it is for the red side, but it should not be as impactful as it might seem on the first glance. We'll have to see if I'm right on that, but honestly, this seems obviously just a straight up nerf to the red side, right, with no changes to blue side whatsoever. With this in mind, again, as I said, the laning phase is probably not going to change too much with this change. And now lastly, we're talking about the jungle changes. Obviously, the biggest change is this one here. This pathway from mid lane, in this case, we're taking a look at this side first, on the red side change, to bot lane, right? Obviously, as I alluded to earlier, this is insane for like any roam style, right? Impacting your bot lane, impacting the opposing bot lane, just getting this quick pathway, right? right? Not to mention here back in the day, the fastest way to get from anywhere to anywhere is always through river, right? Why is that? Because it's a fucking straight line. Duh, right? Then we had the asymmetrical advantages or disadvantages, depending on how you view it, from red side having an easier and faster way into top, and obviously blue side having a faster way into bot. This obviously allowed red side to roam towards top heavier, which kind of like balanced out like their top lane being weaker. But obviously that doesn't really matter because like who plays around top anyway. On the other side, this meant that blue side had another advantage from the many advantages blue side already has, right? Playing like upwards is just insanely overpowered. Also meant that their mid laner could easily roam towards bot lane and defend their more open bot lane in comparison to what right, this terrain means here. So overall, like these pathways here being asymmetrical was always a thing, but it means that even without them changing these setups here for the red side and the other red side or red buff side jungles, means that these pathways still exist. Now with the introduction of this, we have another like road, right? This, I'd say the river is still the highway of the fucking map. But these new pathways here allow for insanely fast like roaming from bot to mid or mid to top, depending on where you want to go, obviously. They're like fast lane or something like that. Or countryside road, I don't know. But at least you can go pretty fast on this. And then the added benefit is, obviously, in a neutral game state or something like close to that, this is your jungle, right? So the enemy is not likely to have vision in like these spots, right? Meaning that while river, there might be a ward here, there might be a ward here, there might be a ward at the objective, maybe they have forward pink or something like that, right? It's more likely to get spotted on your roam and like spotted, picked off, or like backed off, whatever, if you roam towards the river, right? That's why river control always has been so important. But with these new corridors here, it is easier to roam undetected and at a similar speed. So again, what does this mean? Well, just simply means that roaming is more beneficial. And overall, I've not done the speed test myself yet, but this also seems to be like much faster than the old ones. So what does this mean now? Back then, as I just said, roaming from mid lane into bot was like their thing for blue side, right? Obviously also defending the more aggressible or like the more attackable bot side. Whereas now we have a way faster like path. I mean, way faster, decently faster path for the red side into bot, which also now got more open. So this counteracts like the nerf towards the bot side with the terrain change a bit, right? Because their mid laner can roam towards them easier. So overall, this balances out a map change that we talked about in the bot lane a bit. Still, I think this is just a huge benefit for the red side in this case. Bot lane is what mostly matters, especially in pro play, right? So them being able to impact it more, just that big benefit. There is a bad thing about this though, and that is contesting drakes, which as of now, the individual drakes are, as you probably remember, they've gotten nerfed. Quite so, right? They're quite worse than they were before, but souls got buffed, and with like this more defensive setup possible for like all players on the Rift, scaling being introduced overall with nerfs to plates, like the Herald spawn being at 14 minutes, so no Herald into plates anymore. Obviously mages probably coming back more into the meta. Overall, we are playing more longer games, meaning soul is more likely to occur, and soul's gotten buffed. So the individual drake, not that good, so that's good. So again, we need to play around drakes, and playing around drakes was something that, like while red side had like issues, right? Obviously playing like downwards, it's like a big issue that people are not giving it enough credit towards. And historically speaking, red side obviously always had poor win rate and so on. Red side always was the worst side in the on the rift. That's why they get all these advantages in pick ban. An advantage of red side though, because of all the disadvantages from playing downwards, was that their bot lane was super safe, which again is what matters most. And the next thing is they are able to turtle up and defend neutral objectives, Baron and Dragon, way easier than blue side, right? The entrance to the Baron, to the Dragon pit obviously is upwards, meaning the being able to move in and do Dragon, which is a very easy objective to do at like nearly every state in the game, is beneficial for blue side, right? Move in, take it, and immediately move out. Very easy. On the other side, obviously, Dragon can also be pulled outwards. So blue side, usually, right, you can stand here, throw abilities onto the enemy, onto the Drake, while they're taking the objective. But again, Drake is an objective that can be done fast, and you don't take too much damage from it, unless it's like really early in the game, right? This is an option, but it's not the best thing. It's not the most meaningful thing. Obviously, it means that smite steals are possible, but hey, it is what it is, right? At least they can like interact. But for blue side here to go to the objective, they have to like either move far from their turrets, right? And also the pathway in the jungle is just way more closed off, way harder to enter and exit for the blue side, right? Obviously, and that was like an advantage of the red side, right? Easy access and easy well, access and exit. Yeah, English hard language, my friends. Right, which made it which like was one thing, right? They can easily play defensive in their bot lane, can easily contest or like move away with objectives like the Dragon in this case. And then Baron, you now say, okay, blue side advantage, right? They can easily move in, easily can move out. But Baron is not like Dragon. First of all, you can't pull it out. Second of all, it's like always takes a long time unless like hyper late game. You take damage from it. It's just obviously a like way harder objective than well, what is it again? A Drake. So the enemy actually standing here and like throwing shit at you, yeah, that's actually impactful, right? Not to mention a smite steal on a Drake versus a smite steal on a Dragon, a Baron, unless it's Elder, right? It's just, you can't even compare the two objectives. Like a singular Drake, Baron, right? Like even in the importance, right? Meaning that you actually, as blue side, you need control over this part, part behind the pit. And I mean, I don't want to bore you too much. I think this video is already a bit more theoretical nonsense than you might have wanted. But yeah, with like these brush positions, depending on what map you have, it's just super easy for red side to defend this, especially like if you know like these advantages of terrains and so on around the objectives for the red side. This is something I always talk about, right? So why champions like Varus, Gangplank, Azir, etc, right? Like all these like long range champions with poke and burst, etc, also like stuff that you can use to like track vision and so on, are just so advantageous on red side, because like fighting for these brushes to then get into the position to throw shit at the enemy. Why am I talking about all of that, right? Because the terrain changes are important for this. Baron is an objective that you don't rush, that you can, where it doesn't matter, right? That they can easily access the pit. It doesn't matter, who cares? Because you're not sprinting towards Baron and then like fast exiting, right? That is something that only happens in very rare cases. Because like just one word is just enough, and just I'm not repeating myself again. Whereas on the other side, it's very impactful to like sprint in, take the Drake, and then go out or something like that, right? Way more meaningful. So with that in mind, Riot Games adding this fucking piece of brick here in front of the pit of the Dragon means that now it is not as easy for the red side to enter and dip immediately, especially like if you assume like turrets to be down, or at least one of these, right? If bot lane turret is up. The debate is a bit different because you can easily go in here and then go back to towards your turret, right? But overall, I think this is just a decent nerf towards the blue side objective control, towards the red side objective control. So overall, yes, this helps them impact bot, which I think that's a huge buff. Obviously, is towards certain champion classes especially, but we'll have to see how red side dragon control is going to look like in the future. And just obviously short, this brick of wall here is also present on the other side, but again, Baron is not an objective where you go in and out fast, right? You need to establish control over this terrain here, and we can talk about the different Baron pits in a future video or something like that, when we talk about like Void Grubs, new Rift Herald and stuff like that. If you're interested in that, let me know. But yeah, for the blue side, this block here doesn't change too much, right? You still need to move in and contest this stuff, which like in this terrain, there is not much change that makes this easier. So yeah, for the blue side, this change is like there's like it's literally no change, right? Okay, my friends, so a quick recap, and then we can say like which side benefited more and what we can expect from the meta. Actually, you know already what we can expect from the meta. More scaling overall, mages in mid lane, maybe assassins can roam with like lethality items being like way stronger than before, yada yada yada. I mean, like let's just throw that out of the window, right? But overall, top side, you can play safer now on red side. This ward's pretty important. You can pink ward this as a red side pretty easily. Junglers with terrain scaling, with insane terrain scaling like Talon or Kayn can be surprisingly good nowadays, because obviously like bigger walls in like some spaces, right? You can make use of this. Other junglers like Kindred Graves can't go over this as far as I know. So yeah, these types of junglers that are also scaling in some sense, or make use of buffed assassin items, just benefit more and being able to gank / invade over the new walls. Again, top lane, they are safer. Mid lane, if you take a look at this, again, we talked about like the roam paths, again, for like assassins with their new items, but more side, warding, pink warding this, warding here. Vision contest, we'll have to see, but overall mages just benefit greatly from this. Especially immobile mages that like might have been threatened by dives or something like that, just way easier to play as well. Again, remember, even though this is like these areas are new, this one is still where your raptors are. Yeah, if you like your jungler, you like still want to secure vision around your raptors. Red side here got nerfed hard with this entrance here being now possible, but it doesn't really matter for the laning phase, as you can still ward this, which protects this area here. So unless the jungler again has like hard terrain scaling, or you've lost control over mid jungle completely, where you can't guarantee that the enemy is like coming from here or here, having this ward will still be super safe for what is it again, red side, and no changes towards blue side. Then we take a look at the jungle again. This is a bit annoying for objectives, but overall again it should not matter. Or that should only matter slightly. Again, if the turrets are up, it's like nearly no change. But this means that roaming again towards bot lane is favorable for red side more than for blue side, which means this pathway is a lot longer. So overall, red side top lane got buffed, red side roaming got buffed, red side objective control or like dragon control got nerfed, and like their bot lane got nerfed slightly. So overall, I think these are changes that help red side a bit more, and which is overall a good thing, no? Right? Again, red side has always had lower win rate, which is like why Riot Games has made so many changes, right? The MMR on the red team is higher. They have arguably the better pick man, and yeah, they also like the map terrain is like now also better in many aspects, I would argue. But again, playing upwards just so OP. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope I managed to make it a bit digestible for you all. If you have any questions, or if I have like articulated myself not quite the best way, if you have questions, whatever, just spam in the comments. And again, hope you had a good start into the new year and into the new season. If you have any video suggestions that we can talk about, also let me know. I'm planning to talk about the items in the near future if I get to it. And obviously, right, take a look at your calendar. LCK will start with, I think it was Genji T1. Yeah, that is an old matchup, but hey, for you it's also a good one. Anyway, I'll shut up, you take care, and we'll see each other next time. Bye bye.